Welcome back. It is now 6:29. Time for weather and traffic with Jeff Beamish.
But first, we have a very cool monsoon moment to show you.
We do. Not from yesterday. We go back to Sunday. Thank you, Wendy, for emailing this in. Up in Marana, dust storm cometh. This thanks to thunderstorms that raced out of Pinal County and moved toward the northwest side of the metro. Call it a dust storm, call it a haboob, whatever you say, it's our monsoon moment of the day, and we appreciate Wendy for sending it in. As always, we want to see your monsoon moment. If you can safely take storm pictures, please upload them, KVOA.com/monsoon moment. Or you can email us, newstips@kvoa.com. A gorgeous sunrise out there this morning, simply Bitscam in the Midtown area, looking off toward the Rincons. 77 at the airport, our dew point into the upper 60s, and a south-southeast breeze around 5 miles per hour. We're in the low 60s atop Mount Lemmon. Most of us waking up to the mid to upper 70s this morning. Only exceptions here in Metro Tucson being Sabino Canyon and Vail, low 70s at the bottom half of the hour. We say good morning to Desert View High School for your Tuesday school cast as we warm up to the upper 90s this afternoon. Maybe an isolated late day storm once we get to the final bell. Main event for scattered storms looks to be this evening, and those rain chances much greater than what we saw out there yesterday. Up to a 50% chance of metro thunder primarily between 7 p.m. and midnight, and a few of these storms could be severe, producing strong winds and locally heavy rainfall. We'll talk much more about those rain chances today coming up in about 15 minutes. For now, let's get a check in the morning rush and a live look outside. This is our News 4 Tucson Skynet cam. Takes us over to Speedway and Country Club. All right, we do have a crash in a residential area over by Drexel Heights. This is at Toluca and Capistrano Road. This is in a residential area. If your travels take you in this direction this morning, just plan accordingly. Outside of that, no major issues for the thoroughfares here in eastern Pima County and the interstate system. Here's your eye on the interstate, taking us from I-10 in Ruthroff to I-10 in Keno Parkway. Everything moving along without any issue whatsoever. That volume picking up just a bit on the interstate system, but overall no major slowdowns. Again, tracking that crash in a residential spot near Drexel Heights, Toluca, and Capistrano. Plan accordingly if you're heading out in that direction. We'll get a final check of your weather and traffic coming up at 6:45. Sean and Alex.
Thank you, Jeff. For the first time in fall practice, Arizona's football team made Heisman candidate Khalil Tate available to the media, and you are going to love what he had to say about his Sports Illustrated cover.
Plus, an Oro Valley pro helps raise thousands of dollars for inner city kids. News 4 Tucson Sports Director Paul Cicala has more.
How's your energy, Southern Arizona? Good morning to you. I'm Paul Cicala. Let's get things started with some Major League Baseball. And the Arizona Diamondbacks hitting the road for Texas, and into the 5th inning, the D-backs would find themselves trailing, and that is when David Peralta was trying to play Mr. Clutch. Here, he's about to knock in Daniel Descalso to cut the Rangers' lead to 1, but wouldn't be enough. The D-backs fall 5-3. Rangers pitcher Bartolo Colon earns career victory 247. Hey, we are just 18 days and counting until Coach Kevin Sumlin and the U of A football team hit the field against BYU in the season opener, and all eyes are on Khalil Tate at quarterback. The Heisman Trophy candidate and Wildcats QB hasn't been made available to speak during fall practice, that is, till last night. Here's more on the awesome, the amazing, the great Tate.
I'm a starter now. And I know that, so I think it's something that, I've embraced.
Embracing the leadership role as a returning starting QB. And, of course, embracing the new head football coach Kevin Sumlin, something he's done from the onset, as can be seen from the initial Twitter photo Tate put up where he created a pic of Coach Sumlin patting him on the back of the helmet. Of course, Khalil Tate and the U of A offense are still taking in the Coach Sumlin ways as well.
It's something that we're still learning, but we're getting better each and every day.
Meanwhile, Tate talked publicly for the first time about landing on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Actually, I didn't tell my parents at all. So when it came out, it was my parents' 25th anniversary. So I think that's something that, is God.
And what an anniversary gift for his parents.
My dad was just excited. He was just like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, I just trying to keep it a secret, and it just so happened to be their 25th anniversary.
Coach Kevin Sumlin tells us he was also pretty excited about the Sports Illustrated cover for Tate and for the program as a whole.
It's great exposure for the university. I think anytime you have a player that has something like that or is a national award winner or finalist. Yeah, I've always looked at that. We've always looked at it as a team award. It was, these guys are proud of it, and they're proud to be on a team with a guy that garnered that kind of publicity.
Hey, gotta love that smile, and of course it's all genuine. Great to catch up with Khalil Tate last night. As mentioned, it was the first time he has talked to the media this fall. Finally, the Tucson Conquistadores founded the First Tee program of Tucson over a decade ago to help kids who may not have grown up in households with access to a course or country club to get a chance to learn and practice the game of golf. And much props go out to the head golf pro at Oro Valley Country Club. Scott Schultz played 6 rounds in hot, muggy conditions to help out inner city kids to have a chance to play golf. We're talking 108 goals in over 10 hours in hopes of raising around $7,000 for the program I just talked about, the First Tee program. Good stuff. That's it for now. I'm Paul Seacalla for News 4 Tucson Sports. Happy Tuesday to you.
Pet owners know some places are better than others when you want to bring your little furry friend with you. Well, Wallet Hub researched the most pet-friendly cities in the U.S. Scottsdale was ranked #1 in the nation, followed by Orlando, San Diego, Austin, and Phoenix. Tucson ranks number 23 in the nation. The worst place, a little surprising, Honolulu, Hawaii.
You gotta wonder why.
I don't know, we got to do some more research on that.
I know. I would think it would be somewhere very cold. You know, that snows half the year or something. I don't know.
Dog paradise.
I know. All right. Arizona's opioid crisis has knocked another problem drug out of the headlines over the past several years. But experts say methamphetamine and the destruction it causes shows no sign of letting up. That's the topic of a News 4 Tucson investigation coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. News 4 Tucson's John Overall has a preview for us.
We don't hear much about meth these days, but it's still a major problem. In fact, it's only getting worse. There were 328 deaths by overdose in Arizona in 2017, and meth was the #1 killer, with 112 deaths attributed to the highly addictive drug. Tucson Police Captain John Levitt tells the News 4 Tucson investigators methamphetamine has never been cheaper, and in recent years, there's been an increasing supply coming into Arizona from Mexico.
When people stopped importing vast quantities of marijuana through Tucson, they moved to methamphetamine. The supply is absolutely huge.
We'll have much more on this serious problem coming up tonight on News 4 Tucson at 10 o'clock. John Overall, News 4 Tucson.
A very public fight President Donald Trump takes to social media to battle a staffer who was not happy about being let go.
Time now 6:36. You're watching News 4 Tucson Today on this Tuesday morning.
News 4 Tucson is sponsored by First Choice Termite and Pest.
We are following breaking news out of Italy right now, where a highway bridge has collapsed.
About 80 yards of the span of bridge fell onto another part of the highway in the city of Genoa. 22 people are now confirmed dead and another 5 are listed in serious condition. Around 20 vehicles were involved, and police say 2 people have been pulled out of cars alive. Trash management offices for the city were also under the bridge.
The president is ramping up his war of words with reality star and former White House staffer Omarosa Manigault-Newman. A former ally quickly turned adversary who released secretly recorded conversations between herself and President Trump.
Nikki Carvajal says it's some of her accusations that have the president taking to Twitter.
Well, Sean and Alex, it's playing out almost like an episode of The Apprentice, but this time the drama is real.
The president is back in Washington and back on Twitter overnight on the attack against former staffer Omarosa Manigault-Newman and pushing back against some of her more explosive claims, saying the producer of The Apprentice called him to say there are no tapes where he used the N-word. Omarosa, in a media blitz to promote her new book Unhinged, says the tapes are out there and she's heard them.
It sounded as if he used it every day. It rolled off his mouth, kind of like when you first heard the Access Hollywood tape.
And she believes they'll be made public.
Yes, in fact, I believe that they're using it for politically motivated things. In fact, they may...
Before November?
Before November. Another
Are they
October
Democrats?
Surprise.
Thinking about leaving. What happened?
She's already released audio of a conversation between herself and President Trump and her firing by Chief of Staff John Kelly, a recording made in the White House Situation Room.
She's a situation. I don't think she belonged in the Situation Room. I think this really goes to the person who hired her, Donald Trump, and I think this shows that he's not credible either.
The president attacking her credibility.
Low life. She's a low life.
Also saying on Twitter, Omarosa was a supporter until she got fired.
Omarosa says she has more recordings, but she hasn't decided yet if she'll release them. In Washington, Nikki Carvajal, News 4 Tucson.
It's 6:42, state of emergency. White House Governor Doug Ducey stepping in to help a community recover from monsoon damage.
And on the big stage again, a high school group from Southern Arizona is about to go live on television right here on News 4 Tucson. Keep it right here. You're watching News 4 Tucson Today, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back. It is 6:45. Time for our last check of weather and traffic with Jeff.
Jeff, folks heading into work wondering if this is the calm before the storm.
Yeah, pretty calm out there right now. And I think for the most part, for the morning drive, afternoon rush, things will be fairly quiet weather-wise, not until this evening when the weather gets a little more interesting. Upper 70s, mostly sunny, waking up, heading out the door. Upper 90s late day, maybe an isolated storm heading toward 3-4 o'clock this afternoon. But the main event for scattered storms should arrive this evening here in Metro Tucson. Overall, a 50% chance of thunder. Tucson, Nogales points to the east, and those storms probably get their start south and east of Tucson this afternoon, with some of this activity making it into eastern Pima County. We go with a solid 5 out of 10. Your monsoon prediction index. Wouldn't be surprised if a few storms are severe heading into the afternoon and evening hours. Primary concerns: locally heavy rainfall, gusty winds over 40 miles per hour, and that potential for blowing dust between Tucson and Phoenix on I-10. High pressure near the Four Corners, but the tag team effort from a mid-level disturbance and increasing monsoon moisture from Mexico is what's really driving the return of scattered storms over the next couple of days here. Latest rapid refresh model indicating scattered storms developing this afternoon across Santa Cruz, Cochise, Graham and Green Lake counties, drifting toward Metro Tucson this evening. Prime time for Metro Thunder, 7 this evening through about midnight, and then things quiet down thereafter. We'll keep in a solid storm chance for your Wednesday and Thursday, and then those rain chances start to drop off heading into the weekend and early next week, with high pressure shifting toward Las Vegas, dry air moving in from New Mexico. Storms much more miss than hit for your Sunday and Monday, with daytime highs flirting with triple-digit territory. But looks active during the evening hours, much more active tonight versus what we had out there yesterday, with that 50% chance of Metro Thunder. Final check of the morning rush. Live look outside with our News 4 Tucson Skynet cam takes us over to the northwest side at River and La Cholla. We are tracking an accident in Drexel Heights. This is in a residential area, Toluca Circle and Capistrano Road. Not seeing a lot of slowing in this area. Again, it's in a residential spot, but if you're waking up, heading out the door in this direction, plan a couple of extra minutes just in case. Everything looks awesome on the interstate system this morning. Yes, volume picking up as we approach the top of the 7 o'clock hour, but that's not overly unusual for this time of day. I-10 at Ruthroff, Prince, Congress, and Keno Parkway flowing nicely. No major hang-ups heading to work and school. That's your weather and traffic. Sean and Alex, back to you.
Thanks, Jeff. The 2018 monsoon storms have hit southern Arizona hard this year.
News 4 Tucson's Nick Van Zant says the governor declared a state of emergency for one southern Arizona town hit hard by water problems.
For the owners and employees of this mammoth restaurant, the last 2 weeks have been more than tough.
Scary, hard.
Their water has either been off or unusable, and while that's cut business by nearly 70%, it's also left them with no way to shower when they get home.
It's hard. More when you have kids. My little one, he need to go to the bathroom. He flushed the toilet, and there's not water in the toilet, and he freaking out.
Water hasn't been the only issue here in Mammoth, though. As you can see by these large piles of dirt, they've also had problems with the roads and with power.
We don't have water one day, and the next day we don't have power.
Arizona officials say the problem started in late July. Monsoon storms damaged roads and saturated the soil. Then, when the dirt shifted, water pipes started breaking, leading to a large-scale system failure that has even affected the fire department's ability to fight fires.
I won't drink the water. We get our water up here at the water fountains.
For now, residents are finding a way to cope, but they're hoping the $200,000 freed up by Governor Doug Ducey's state of emergency will fix the problem.
Help. We need help.
In Mammoth, Nick Van Zant, News 4 Tucson.
The Pima County Sheriff's Department has identified the man who was killed when his car was swept into a wash Sunday night. 46-year-old Mark Neely entered the flooded area near Old Nogales Highway and Lumber Street and never came out. Raul Haro, who lives nearby, says he went to look at the running wash when he saw Neely go past the barricades. Neely was in his vehicle on his phone calling for help. Bystanders tried to help Neely. One says she begged 911 to send help.
We did see everything. We saw the wash taking this gentleman, and he looked at us and he was begging for help. And my husband and another gentleman, wanted to help him so bad. We had a rope in the back of this truck, and I told my husband, get the rope, let's help him.
Rural Metro Battalion Chief John Waka says the conditions were just too dangerous to send a crew in after Neely. The vehicle traveled about a quarter to a half mile. It went under a bridge and then flipped over, finally coming to a stop.
After reports of some abuse at shelters for migrant children, the state of Arizona is now investigating the largest shelter operator.
All 13 Southwest Key shelters in the state have been inspected over the past few weeks. Bram Resnick looks at what could lead to state oversight.
After several reports of abuse, Arizona shelters housing migrant children are getting a sweeping state inspection.
Watching the news, it is horrifying. I can't imagine as a parent experiencing that or having my children experiencing that.
Dr. Kara Christ, the state's health services director, tells 12 News her inspectors have gone through all 13 Southwest Key shelters in Arizona over the last 2 weeks.
We took all of those allegations because they were so horrifying that we were hearing in the media. We took that as a system complaint.
The most recent shocker, a former Southwest Key employee charged with molesting 8 migrant boys at a Mesa shelter.
I actually think we're going above what we normally can do.
First Lady Melania Trump spotlighted a Phoenix shelter during a June visit. Southwest Key takes in $500 million a year from the feds to care for migrant children separated from their parents. These inspections could lead to an agreement to fix whatever might be wrong with state oversight for up to a year. Knowing what she knows, I asked Kara Christ whether she'd leave her 3 children alone at a Southwest Key shelter.
I'm trying to imagine a world where my children would be without me, and that's really hard. But they provide good care.
That was Bram Resnick reporting. A Phoenix area woman faces criminal charges after police say she led them to a body in a dumpster. Officers say 29-year-old Lorenda Jean Ritter strangled an 18-year-old runaway from California inside her home. The body was wrapped in plastic when officers found it. Police are still trying to determine a motive. Ritter is being held on $750,000 bond for first-degree murder and concealing a dead body.
2 Tucson men tied to a drug and firearms trafficking organization will spend the next several years in prison. Juan Manuel Islas and Gilberto Sol Jamarillo were convicted on several charges, including multiple counts of possessing, transporting, and selling heroin. Islas was sentenced to 10.5 years in prison, and Jaramillo was sentenced to 6. They were arrested after an alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives agent started purchasing firearms from another man tied to that case. Officials say that led agents to the drug dealing operation that landed Islas and Jaramillo behind bars.
2 men are facing charges in Marana for thefts from vehicles. Marana police say 20-year-old Ricardo Beltran and 22-year-old Shane Mack were caught rummaging through cars in the Gladden Farms area. Marana PD says most of the cars were unlocked. Several items were taken, including a GoPro, wallets, purses, cash, and garage door openers. Police are reminding everyone to take their expensive stuff inside your home and lock your car doors.
That's good advice. Tucson Electric Power gets the green light from the county to install 10 natural gas engines at a south side plant. TEP officials say the project is a much needed improvement.
News 4 Tucson's Aaliyah Shahid says environmentalists are concerned that it will only make air quality, though, worse.
By the end of next year, Tucson Electric Power will have 10 new natural gas engines at the H. Wilson Sun generating station on Irvington Road.
Essentially, these will be new gas-fired engines that will help us integrate more renewable resources into our local electric infrastructure.
The engines will replace 2 steam units that date back to the 50s. Pima County issued an air quality permit to TEP earlier this month, giving the project the green light. But some environmentalists have expressed concern concerns about how this will affect air quality in the area.
One concern was regarding NOx emissions, nitrous oxides.
But TEP officials say the engines are part of a bigger, nearly $200 million plan that will work with new renewable resources and actually be better for the environment.
The way we're going to use these engines, overall nitrous oxide emissions, they're actually going to go down by 60%. That will lend itself to improving air quality here in Pima County.
County officials say they listened to everyone's concerns when considering the permit and revised it to limit the amount of pollution emitted by TEP as much as they legally can. Anyone who submitted an official comment on the project has until September 7th to appeal the decision with the EPA. Aliyah Shahid, News 4 Tucson.
There have been more than 10,000 suspected opioid overdoses in Arizona since June of last year. That's according to real-time data from the state health department.
The governor and the Department of Public Safety shared the state's plan to fight the opioid crisis and save lives. News 4 Tucson's Danelle Confair has the story.
Part of Governor Ducey's plan has first responders equipped with naloxone, known as Narcan, that helps reverse opioid overdoses, which has already saved thousands of lives.
The subject was lifeless, and to see him in back of the ambulance looking at us and talking, it was amazing. I thought I was looking at a ghost, but it was truly amazing what Narcan did on this day.
Morales is one of nearly 1,000 first responders trained to administer Narcan. To date, that drug has been administered by first responders over 6,000 times, and over 24,000 Narcan kits have been distributed by pharmacies.
Naloxone isn't available only for first responders and law enforcement. It is available without a prescription to anyone in Arizona through our pharmacies. Getting naloxone into our communities is a critical tool for saving lives.
Another critical tool is the Arizona Department of Health Services real-time opioid data, which shows that since June of last year, over 1,600 people have died in Arizona from a suspected opioid.
We're attacking the opioid epidemic from all angles, from drug interdiction through the border strike force.
Since the state's efforts to combat the opioid crisis, Governor Ducey says the number of opioid prescriptions filled in Arizona declined 40% between 2017 and 2018. To get a look at the governor's full opioid plan, head to our website at KVOA.com. Reporting in studio, Danelle Confair, News 4 Tucson.
The month of August is National Breastfeeding Awareness Month.
It was created to normalize and promote breastfeeding. News 4 Tucson's Kendra Hall joins us now in studio with what mothers experience right here in Tucson. Kendra?
Sean, Alex, I talked to several moms in Tucson who say they've experienced both positive and negative comments while breastfeeding. The negative ones coming from both men and women, and they say it can be discouraging. One mom in particular says she would get dirty looks and remarks when breastfeeding in public with a cover on. But she says she didn't want to go into a dirty bathroom to breastfeed her newborns. We spoke with the owners of Milk and Honey in Tucson who say they work with moms who feel uncomfortable nursing in public because of the looks they get. But by law in Arizona, breastfeeding is not considered indecent exposure, so mothers are allowed to nurse in public places. Breastfeeding specialists say other countries seem to be more accepting of it.
I think we over-sexualize women and breasts, and so that's a lot of times people can't get past seeing a woman with her breasts exposed. But if you go to the beach or the pool, you're going to see a lot more skin than as you would if a mom was breastfeeding her baby in public.
Now, Milk and Honey offers a weekly support group for mothers. You can check our website for that info. That's KVOA.com. Sean, Alex.
Kendra, thank you. A dance group from Southern Arizona will be on the biggest stage in the country tonight. Woo. The Walden Grove Performing Arts Crew will be on the first live show of America's Got Talent tonight. The team will have to work hard to win over Howie Mandel. You can watch it right here on NBC tonight, starting at 7.
Yeah, he hit the buzzer.
Immediately.
Last performance, yeah. He's
more than
a
once.
Big fan.
What do you think they're going to do this time? They were Wizard of Oz, as we all know, and then Alice in Wonderland.
So we had opined a few weeks back after their second appearance on America's Got Talent of what they should do, and I mentioned Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
That'd be cool.
I love that idea.
I forgot what you had mentioned, though. You mentioned a really good one.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It has slipped my mind, but I know that they know they are going to have a great performance, whatever it is that they've chosen to do. But, you know, they were able to do the Wizard of Oz many, many, many times before that, and then in this competition you have to change it up every time.
And when you're up against people who are like shooting arrows with fire, and stuff. It's difficult. You got to be really good and really exciting. So
whatever
I'm excited.
happens, you know, they were the top 6 acts. So no matter what happens, it's unbelievable.
Representing Walden Grove in southern Arizona quite well, to say the least.
Very cool.
Coming up next is the Today Show.
And we'll see you tomorrow right here.